So, guys, as leaders, one of the things that we're tasked with is bringing certainty to situations that don't have as much certainty to it. And I can't think of a better way of bringing certainty to both ourselves and the teams that we manage back in our home offices than put yourself in the proper peer group to celebrate your wins and celebrate your successes. And I can't think of any better group to surround yourself with than the people that are here tonight. So
whether it was nature or nurture, choosing real estate, I don't know. I do remember when I was very young and I wanted to go to McDonald's or to go to my friend's house after school. My father would say, "Sure, but you've got to tell me what the land is worth under this site first." And so I remember learning addition, subtraction, where you carry a number on a P&L. I remember the day I learned long division in 4th grade, actually not too far from here at Delaware Academy. I came home to show my father, and he said, "Now that's NOI, and that's a cap rate." And so very, very early on, my real estate education happened simultaneously with my regular education. Today we have about $7 billion in total development value in the pipeline to be delivered in the next 10 years. In pick your urban infill market, as far north as Boston, as far south as Miami, with stops in Charlotte, DC, Philadelphia, New York City in between. We also have a $1.6 billion project in downtown Los Angeles, Angels Landing, which, depending on the contractor you believe, may amount to be the tallest residential tower on the west coast of the United States.
If there's one element of wisdom that you can, depart on, let's say, people starting off in the real estate industry that are trying to establish themselves, what would you say would be that number one wisdom that, let's say, you've learned, throughout your years and got you to where you are today?
Absolutely. And I think that's a great question. I think the most important thing somebody can do is learn to never make the same mistake twice. My father always says that someone can have 30 years experience, but relive the same year over and over again. And in any sort of endeavor, mistakes are endemic and they're natural. And when you aspire and when you strive, missteps happen all the time. But what's important is that you don't make the same mistake twice. You don't fall into the same trap more than once. The second piece of advice is to always be in the mix. Real estate isn't a challenging business. I know many folks here are very smart, but you can certainly underwrite a real estate deal with a 6th grade education. You don't need any math beyond middle school, I promise. Right? But what you do need are great social skills and an understanding of how to get to where you want to be with people and not just with spreadsheets. And getting in the mix, meeting the right sorts of folks at events like this, and joining organizations like Red are essential in getting to where you want to be as a real estate developer.
People are just curious, what is your why?
I've got really big shoes to fill. Right, my father's been able to accomplish so much. He's been able to do so much so well that I always feel in the morning that I've got to do justice to the opportunity that I was given. I think you see so many folks, particularly in my position, who can get complacent, who can look at the opportunity as too good to be true and take the easy way. And I try to remind myself, and I've got a Post-it note right underneath my computer screen. And it reminds me that to whom much is given, much is expected. And it's a Bible verse. It's Luke 12:47.
As far as, with this pivot that Salmon has been able to make in terms of bringing RedConnect down to Miami, obviously you do business both in Miami, New York City, LA, the Carolinas, Washington, D.C. What are your thoughts, what are your perspective as far as, RedConnect moving down here to Miami and being able to pivot? What do you think the economy is going to, what the trajectory is for New York City and how that compares to Miami?
Absolutely. Well, I think Miami, there are winners and losers in COVID, without a doubt. And Miami is one of the winners. The former chairman of the city group said that capital moves to where it is respected and it stays where it's treated well. And unfortunately, the Northeast has abdicated their pole position with respect to capital, and it's moved down to tax advantageous pro-growth states like Miami. New York City had an inflection point when COVID hit. They could either make the difficult choice stay open for business and demonstrate why they're the epicenter of capitalism, or they could take the easy way out and cede to some of the more dominant and more vocal political forces. And they took that easy way out. Miami didn't. Miami stayed open, they stayed growth, they stayed inclusive, and as a consequence, they became winners. And I think Red has done a great job of creating the same sort of presence it had in New York down here in order to ensure that real estate professionals have an opportunity to move. I think that we're all blessed to be down here, and I think that real estate is an organic and always actively moving industry, and one that's moving south. I think firms haven't seen the productivity declines that they otherwise would have expected from a distributed workforce, and are now reevaluating what it looks like to have an office and to have a home base. And if you're a high talent employee, why do you want to live in a 1-bedroom apartment in Manhattan when you can live in a 3-bedroom, 3-car garage house in Coconut Grove and still take home more money at the end of the day? Low corporate taxes, no personal income tax. Florida's open for business, and I think it's going to attract talent and corporations to no end.
We want to know, what is your favorite book or author?
My favorite novel is War and Peace. My favorite author is Leo Tolstoy. My second favorite book is The Peebles Principles. My father read it, and I had to read it a bunch of times. So it's Tolstoy, then Don Peebles Jr., then maybe Dostoevsky.
Well, thank you, Don. Guys, before we wrap up here, does anyone have any questions?
Hi, my name is Margarita Franco. I'm a minority female developer. I'm developing my first project here in South Florida, in Liberty City. It's workforce housing. My biggest challenge has been funding, getting money to build. I bought the property for cash, so I have no debt, no mortgage. What do you suggest, or where do you think I can tap in to get something for workforce housing?
One of your options, and the one that I think I hope is most relevant to people here, is our Emerging Developers Fund. As I mentioned, we're raising $450 million to invest in passive LP and co-GP positions for developers beginning in their career. Their first project or their fifth project, where we want to be someone who helps you scale. We love opportunistic investments, we love value add, and we love South Florida. We'll do any asset class, but for industrial and niche industries like data centers. We write checks as small as $2 million and as large as 20. This is something that's been a passion project of my father's for a decade, and we're finally at a place where in about 120 days, we'll be ready to pre-seed the fund and make allocations. So if you have a project, if you have something of interest, we would love to hear about it. We're building our stable of emerging sponsors, and we really, really hope that we can find some folks in Miami, since, of course, I said all those nice things about it earlier. We have a tab on our website, peeblescorp.com, that discusses the Emerging Developers Fund. You can come see me afterwards, and I promise I'll talk your ear off about it as well.
All right, well, thank you so much, Don. Appreciate it. Thank you. Pleasure to meet you.